Well, right now it is time for a conversation with our friends at Brevant Seeds. We are talking now with Andy Robinson, area product manager for Brevant Seeds. And Andy, it is good to talk with you again. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining us here on the show today.
Hey, no problem, Jesse. Always good to see you, sir.
Well, let's jump in and let's talk a little bit about Brevant Seeds' innovation story here this month. And I'd love to ask you just to start. How does Brevant Seeds kind of bring a differentiation to retail? Why don't we start there?
Yeah, so I mean, this is kind of a one of those kind of $1 million questions, right? As we formed Brevant, almost 4 years ago now, and maybe a way to start answering this question is really kind of talk a little bit more about what your local ag retailer brings to the farm. And so when I think about like local ag retailers, they're bringing options as well as solutions. Now that could be agronomic, it could be seed, it could be fertilizer. But what we're seeing is many farmers, they're already buying on their crop protection and fertilizer from an ag retailer. And so now with Brevant, it allows us to really kind of bring in that option on top of that. And so retailers, they know farmers, they know what they're doing crop protection, a lot of times their management with their fertilizer. And so that's where really Brevant comes in is we're able to really bring a differentiated germplasm that historically they've never been able to sell before. And so really there's two big germplasm pools within the industry and Brevant taps into one of those. And so it gives farmers options, which is awesome. And so they can go to the farm with a really diverse product offering. And that not only comes from products with like what we consider like germplasm with like agronomics and yield, but it's also all that other stuff that comes with that. And so I think about things like the industry leading traits that we have now in our Brevant products and the technology that we have to kind of help differentiate ourselves even within retail. So that allows them to go to the farm with a really nice option for farmers to protect against things like if you have corn earworm issues or if you need more herbicide tolerant solutions. And then on the soybean side, I think about like in our Enlist soybean lineup and all the new technology and yield and agronomics that we're bringing with that. And it really does, when you're able to get all that stuff within Brevant and then the other companies they sell, it differentiates them from any local farmer dealer that's out there. And so, I don't know, there's tons of trucks that run down driveway all the time at these farmers' shops. And you think about that in, why wouldn't you want to do business with a retailer, right? They're understanding all aspects of your operation, and so it's a really powerful relationship that we have with Brevant and our ag retail partners.
Well, you hit on some of those innovations. Let's go into the weeds a little bit more on a few of those. What are the latest innovations that Brevant Seeds is bringing to market right now, Andy?
Yeah, so there's obviously a lot, and there's a lot of stuff coming in the future. But Jesse, I think kind of the things that kind of get me excited that we've been talking about most recently is if you're in an area where you need corn rootworm protection, right? And the big one that we're really offering within Brevant is for seed. And it's really for corn rootworm protection, it's second to none in the industry. So it does provide three above ground mode of action traits, but also provides those three below ground traits as well. And that includes RNAi technology that has been out in the marketplace. But one of the key things that our Vorseed technology allows for is we're not seeing any yield drag with it. And so with Vorseed, when you have a Brevant product and it has a Vorseed option for traits, you're getting outstanding control and really good top end yields. We've moved from having a couple in last year to we really ramped up this year. And we're really excited to see what this fall comes as we, harvest these and the combines start to roll. Yields look really great in the impact data that we have. And then you go back to, so if you don't need no below ground protection, what do we have options for above ground? So this past year, we actually launched Power Core Enlist. So that would be basically your above ground trait protection. So there's 3 different traits in there for above ground protection. And so basically wanted to improve our control for things like fall armyworm, which is always a pest here in the Midwest, right? But we also have control of things like black cutworm. And so something that no other company can really offer within that unless they have a power core enlist trait. So that's kind of to me, the above and below ground traits. But then I think about what comes with that, right? So I mentioned power core enlist. Vorseed also has enlist in there. And so we're used to dealing with enlist in soybean. Now we have that opportunity to utilize enlist in corn as well. And so that would deliver tolerance to glyphosate, glufosinate, the 2,4-D choline or enlist 1, as well as FOPS. And so FOPS is probably the one that we haven't talked about as much, but we're starting to see in some areas where there's some buildup of glyphosate tolerant grasses. And so it's just another, basically a tool that a farmer can use in the future. But it's pretty exceptional when you think about just the enlist portion in corn as basically another tool that farmers can have to help with that weed control in their area. This year we've seen, based on the timing that we had for planting, a lot of areas it was pushed back. And so you didn't get weed control on early. And so we had a later planting window due to some rain early on. And then we had rapid growth under the conditions. And then you put on some auxinic herbicides, and we did see some interaction there as it really started to take off. And so now with like a power core enlist product, you can go out there and you can apply the enlist 1 as with your burn down application, have no plant back restrictions, and you can actually apply up to 2 pints per acre twice in season if you would need that as an additional help with weed control. And so it's a tool that farmers really have never had access to in corn, and we're really excited to see how this grows and develops over the coming year.
I gotta say, innovative stuff. A lot of tools in the toolbox out there, Andy, from
Yeah.
Brevant. Just a ton of stuff out there available, and I'm sure listeners they're gonna have questions. They're gonna want to know more about some of these products, go more in depth. So, what's the best way for folks to get more details on all those products you mentioned and others that Brevant has in the lineup, Andy?
Yeah, Jesse. So you can, listeners out there, you can obviously go to places like Brevant.com, and we'll have all the information on products and everything we're selling with traits. You can also find latest information on yields and things from social media with Brevant. Actually, I'm a co-host of a new podcast that we started within Brevant called Brevant Beyond Products. So you can find that if you're interested. It's once a month right now that we're putting out. You can find that on Spotify or Apple Podcast. But honestly, Jesse, the best place to find out more information is, it's that time of year where our local retail partners, they're out talking about the 2025 season. And I know that kind of scares people because we haven't harvested the crop yet, but as you're starting to make plans, if a retailer doesn't bring it up to you, don't hesitate to ask them about, hey, what's new with Brevant Seed? And, what are they really bringing to you, and what options do you guys have from them?
Well, good stuff, good thoughts. And again, Brevant.com for more information, help you get started. Andy, I should ask you real quick, how are crop conditions looking in your territory there in the Eastern Corn Belt?
Yeah, so I've been doing a fair amount of traveling in the past probably 2 to 3 weeks. So I'm based out of central Indiana, and you look at the crops around here, and actually things look really well, but it's starting to get pretty dry. And I was looking at the 10 to 14 day outlook, and we're getting a lot of those 20% chance of precipitation days, right? And that's probably not as much as we need as we're getting into the point where we're really trying to fill out that grain. And so I really am hoping for some lucky rains that we catch here in the coming months. But Wisconsin, I've had to go up to Wisconsin yesterday, actually. And Illinois is looking very good on the way up through the southern part or the central part of the corridor. And then into Wisconsin, where it was really variable at the beginning of the year. There's some areas in that southwest corridor that look really good, but it's still very variable through the rest of the state.
I
So
appreciate. Yeah.
it's, yeah, go ahead, Jesse. Sorry.
No, I was just no. You go. What was your final thought going to be there, Andy?
I would say, I mean, it's really variable depending on where you're at. And there's some areas that look really good, but as you know, I mean, it's that time of year where the weather this time of year will make or break you. And so we're really, hoping we live right, and get those rains because we definitely need them right now.
Absolutely. Appreciate the update on the crops and talking about all the innovations out there from Brevant Seeds. Again, Brevant.com for more. With that, area product manager for Brevant Seeds, Andy Robinson. Andy, thanks for joining us here for a conversation today. We appreciate it.
Yes, thanks, Jesse. No, I'll see you again sometime soon.
Make sure to subscribe to the Market Talk YouTube channel. You can watch our latest interviews with top market analysts in the country, find bonus content, and much more. It's easy. Just go to youtube.com/@MarketTalkAg and hit the subscribe button. Or you can search for Market Talk Ag on YouTube.